Okay, so now let's go ahead and add walking. For walking, we will create a separate method, but first of all, if I get back right here, it showed these two errors. So let me fix it right here. It is physics dot check. Okay, I've spelled it incorrectly. It should be check sphere. And when you do that, the errors are gone. Okay, and in the guard script, everything is right here. We're gonna be providing all the values to it, but for now, leave this as it is. And let's focus up on our guard walking mechanic. So create a private method by the name of walk, and first of all we want to say that if we didn't provide any waypoints to the guard, okay, if the waypoint count is 0, then we simply want to return. We don't want the guard to do anything, okay, we just want the guard to be in the idle condition. That is it, okay. And the reason I'm doing this is because using the same script we can create two type of guard, okay. One guard is to which we don't provide any waypoint, then that guard will stay in one place, and the second type of guard will be that one to which we will be providing the waypoints, okay, and that guard will be able to then walk in those waypoints, okay. So using one script we added two functionalities. Alright, so this one was for the first card which will just stay in one place. Now for the next type of card, which card we want to make it walkable in waypoints. So for that we will be creating a transform by the name of target waypoint, which will be equals to our waypoints list, and in that list we're gonna pass the current waypoint index. When we have the target waypoint, then we're gonna create a vector 3 by the name of direction to waypoint, and let's set the direction to the waypoint. So for the direction we will pass the target waypoint dot position minus the transform dot position. So the player will walk from its position to the target waypoint position, okay, which will be the waypoint position. So from its own position to the waypoint position, and we want to make this direction normalized. Alright, after this we will create another vector 3 by the name of move vector, and this will be equals to the direction to waypoint multiply by the moving speed and multiply by the time dot delta time. Alright, this should be just time. That's it. So this will be our move vector in which we set up the movement, okay. So we will move towards the waypoint by using the movement speed, and we will make that movement speed time dependent so that the movement is smooth, okay. And as you know that we are using a character controller, so now by using the character controller we will move the player. So just passed move vector to the dot move keyword. Alright, once we are moving the character, after this we will calculate the direction to look at without changing the Y rotation. Alright, so for that create a vector 3 by the name of rook direction, and in here we will say new vector 3, pass the direction to waypoint dot x only. For the y we will pass 0 because we don't want the character to move in the air or down in the ground, we just want the character to move on the surface. And for the z we will pass direction to waypoint dot z, because of course if the waypoint is on the left or on the right side we want the character to move on the left or the right side. Alright, so once we calculate that, then let's move the character, or you can say rotate the character. So transform dot rotation will be equals to quaternion dot slurp. We want to rotate the player, so transform dot rotation, and then we will say quaternion dot look rotation. Let's pass the look direction to it so that the character only rotate on the x and z axis, okay, and not on the y axis, because that what we set up in the look direction. And we want this rotation to be time dependent, so we will at the end say time dot delta time multiply by the turning speed. Right, and as you know that we have added the animator controller, and all of the animations and parameters are set up. So let's play animations as well. So when the character is moving, we want to set the run parameter to false because the character is walking, and we want the walk parameter to be set to true because yes, the character is walking, and we want the shoot to be false because the character is not shooting. So you guys will be thinking that now our character can move right towards the waypoint. So yes, you guys will be right, the character will move towards the waypoint. But if the character reaches one waypoint, after that the character will not know to which waypoint I have to go. And of course we want the character to move from first waypoint to the second, then from second to the third, from third to the fourth, and if there are no waypoints, then we want the character to move back to the third, then to the second, then to the first, and in the same way the character will move back and forth. So in order to set that up, for that we need to create a vector 3, actually not create a vector 3, we will say in the if condition vector 3 dot distance, to which we're gonna pass the position of the guard, then the target waypoint dot position, and if that position is less than 0.1. What this means that if the character reaches the target waypoint position, or you can say the waypoint, if the character reaches the waypoint, then what we want to do, we want the character to move to the next waypoint. So in order to move the character to the next waypoint, right here we will say if moving forward is true, and as you know that we already declared this moving forward in the destination variable header right here, moving forward. Alright, so if the moving forward is true, it means that the character will move forward, like from first waypoint to the second, from second to the third, and from third to the fourth. Alright, so we will say current waypoint index plus plus. Alright, then we will say if current waypoint index is greater than or equals to the waypoints dot count, it means that if we reaches our whole waypoint, for example, if the character, if we have 4 waypoints and the character reach the fourth one, okay, then as you know that we don't have any waypoints left. So that if condition checks that, it checks that if we don't have any waypoint left, okay. That's why we say if the current point index is greater than or equals to the waypoint dot count. So if the waypoint dot count is 4 and this current waypoint index equals to 4 or equals to 5, then it is either greater or equal. So if any of this is set to true, then in that case we don't want the character to move forward because we don't have any waypoints left. So we want the character to move backward, back to the third one, then to the second one, then to the first one. Alright, so in order to do that, we will say current waypoint index equals to waypoints dot count, and we will say -1. So the guard will move back to the third, and the moving forward is this time will be now set to false because now the player is not moving forward, the player is moving in the backward direction. Alright, now in the else block, what this means, if the character is not moving forward and is moving backward, so if it is moving backward, then we want to move back, we want to move back to the third, to the second, and to the first. And now if the character reaches the first waypoint again, then there are no waypoint, there is no waypoint 0 or -1 or -2, the waypoint ends there. So then from that point we want the character to move in the forward direction again. Alright, so for that, and let me just copy this if condition and paste it, and right here we will now say if the current waypoint is less than 0, and if it is less than 0 it means that now the character will move in the forward direction. So current waypoint index will be equals to 0 and moving forward will be set to true because now yes, the character will move forward, and in this way our character will move from first, second to third to fourth waypoint, and then from fourth back to third, second, and first, and then in the same it will go forward, backward. Alright, so these a whole if condition is necessary for that movement, and I hope now you understand what is happening in the walk method. Now you can just simply copy this from here and paste it right here, add a semicolon, that's it. Right here click on guard. Now for the moving speed we're gonna say 1.8 because this 1.8 matches the movement of the movement animation of this guard. Alright, so if I move this guard right here, okay, for testing now, let me move the player there and the camera manager as well, move it there. Now click on guard, here is the guard. Alright, so make it 1.8, running speed will be 4. These values might be different for you, so make sure that you change them according to your animations. Turning speed, let's just set it to 5 for now. Let's drag and drop the animator. Now for the waypoints, let's create the waypoints first of all. So if I create a empty game object inside the player, name it as waypoints, then move it outside the guard. Okay, and the reason I've created it inside the guard because I want it transform to be similar to this guard, okay, right here on the ground. Now in this waypoints, let's create first waypoint, duplicate it, and rename it to second, duplicate it again and move it there, name it as third. Okay, for now let's just create 3 waypoints to test it out, and then drag and drop these 3 waypoint in this waypoint list. Okay, after that add the player layer, then the vision radius, let's set it to 15, and the shooting radius will be, let's just say 10. Alright, make sure that you leave these as it is. Give damage will be 3, this will be the shooting range, and for the shooting area what we're gonna do is inside the card we will create an empty game object, name it as shooting area, move it up and outside the player body, that's it. Click on guard, drag and drop the shooting area, and time between shoot will be, let's just say 1 second. After every 1 second the guard will shoot, and this is the gravity, then this is alerted, we will leave this. as false. Alright, so that is all you have to do for the guard. Okay, you can now just simply play the game and see how does it looks. So when the game starts, as you can see, here is the guard, and the guard is not moving. Okay, I don't know why, what is happening in here. I think this is due to our waypoint, because if you check the first waypoint, it is really close to the player. Okay, so what I want you to do is to minimize the waypoint and move it a little bit away from the player. Okay, and when you move it away and play the game again, you will notice that the player walks to the first waypoint, but from the first, the player doesn't move any further. And let me tell you the reason behind it. If you notice that the player waypoint is right here on the ground, but if you notice the character controller of the player, it is really inside the ground. Okay, so the character controller doesn't fully, I think, touches the waypoint. Okay, so if you make this y value of it as 1.3, and if you actually move the character controller a little bit outside the ground like this, okay, if you do this and then play the game again, you will notice now that the character is walking perfectly fine in the waypoints. As you can see, the character moves to the first, second, third, and then from third it moves to the second and first, and then from first, second, third. Okay, as you can see, the character is moving in the waypoints. Okay, so you just have to move the character controller a little bit outside the ground. Okay, make sure that it doesn't touches the ground. Okay, and you will notice that the character will be walking perfectly fine. Okay, if you want, you can decrease this turning speed, and the character will turn a little bit slow, as you can see, but it doesn't look good. So that's why I've keep it on 5, because on 5 it looks good. Okay, so now as you can see, the player is in vision radius and shooting radius, but the character is not alerted, so that's why the player is walking. And also we don't have any chasing and shooting methods, so that's why the character doesn't do anything if we set the is alert to true. Because if we set the is alert to true, as you can see, the character stop walking, because now the character need to chase and shoot the player, and we don't have that methods. So in the next video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the chasing and shooting methods. Okay, in the next one we're gonna add chasing, and then after that we're gonna add shooting. So for that, see you guys in the next one.